All right, you were watching live as RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra announced the monetary policy. RBI's three-day MPC meeting commenced on Monday. This was the third bi-monthly policy of the year. RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra said the global economic environment has become increasingly unstable and global growth is projected to soften while inflation forecast is higher for 2026. The RBI's Monetary Policy Committee unanimously kept the repo rate unchanged at 5.25% and maintained a neutral policy stance. Now, the RBI expects inflation to rise in the coming months, peaking in Q3 due to higher food and fuel prices before easing later. Core inflation remains moderate but is expected to edge up by the end of the financial year. Also, the RBI governor said that the economy remains resilient, supported by strong domestic demand and healthy manufacturing activity. However, he said that the growth is expected to slow this year due to uncertainties around the monsoon, El Niño, geopolitical tensions and global trade. Agriculture faces weather-related risks, though adequate reservoir levels and government measures are expected to limit the impact. Also, he said that the exports are likely to benefit from new trade agreements and market diversifications. The RBI, he said, has revised its financial year 27 GDP growth forecast to 6.7%, up from the previous estimate, with quarterly growth projected at 7.0% Q1, 6.4% Q2 and 6.5% Q3 and 6.8% Q4. The overall risk to the growth outlook remains balanced. The RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra also said that the credit growth continues to remain robust and broad-based across various sectors. He also mentioned that the RBI has lowered its FY27 financial year 27 CPI inflation forecast to 5.0%, 10 basis points below its earlier estimate. Inflation is projected at 5.3% in Q1, 4.7% in Q2, 5.9% in Q3 and 5.5% in Q4, with risk seen as evenly balanced. Also, the RBI kept the repo rate unchanged and maintained a neutral policy stance, citing moderate core inflation, slightly higher in headline inflation and stable inflation expectations while balancing growth and price stability at the same time. RBI Governor also mentioned measures to improve things further. He said we shall continue to implement policies to further fortify the economy. All right, and for more, we have Shama Mishra connected with us. Well, Shama, the RBI kept its repo rate unchanged as expected.
Yes, Lepakshi, it is very much on the expected lines, and as the market and as the industry experts were about to expect that the policy repo rate would be unchanged at 5.25%, the governor has said the RBI Monetary Policy Committee has decided exactly that, and also somewhere down the line the industry were also expecting that there might be a change in the stance, but the governor in his statement has clarified that the stance has also remained unchanged, which is at neutral. Apart from that, some while understanding the speech, there can be a silver lining over here, because the GDP projection for this year is 10 basis points higher than the earlier projection. So we can understand that the GDP is now 6.7%. It is projected at 6.7%, and likewise the Q1 is at 7%, Q2 at 6.4%, and similarly. Also, the CPI inflation, which has always been a cause of worry for not just RBI but for the Indians as general, that has also been lowered. The projection has been lowered 10 basis points. So that is also a good news over there, a silver lining over there. But yes, Governor has highlighted and reiterated that the uneven southwest monsoon and the effects of El Niño has impacted, and because of this, the robust agricultural growth or the entire process is clouded because of this situation, and somewhere down the line we will also see this impact coming on the agriculture, and in a similar manner it will also impact the inflation. But yes, the Indian economy remains robust, and more will be understood in the press conference that will happen around 12 p.m. By the Governor of Reserve Bank of India. and his associates. But yes, for now, it is on expected lines. And if you're talking about the markets are also reacting to it positively, although there are lots of other external factors as well, which markets are catering in and reacting to it similarly. Lipakshi.
All right. Also, Sharma, the central bank has retained its neutral policy stance. What does this signal about the RBI's approach in the coming months?
For the stance, as we go about it, when it is neutral, RBI is open to information, and it has always been saying, the governor has always been saying that they will be very nimble and they will be closely monitoring the entire data which the economy is giving to them. So that means when the conditions are favorable, for now, if we are talking about the external factors like the uncertainties that are going around the entire global market or global economy, this might be, a cause of concern. And if we are going to go about with this particular data, RBI, if there is a situation where things escalate, so RBI might increase the repo rate, and so that means it's open to tightening as well. And if things become favorable, the global uncertainties go down, the domestic factors or domestic situation becomes more better, RBI is also open to easing it. So both ways, either tightening or easing it, will be something which RBI would be open to when it keeps its stance to neutral, and that is what is happening. The data which is coming in, RBI is closely monitoring that.
All right, Sharma. In fact, despite global uncertainties, RBI has raised its GDP growth forecast also to 6.7%. Anyways, thank you so much for all that information from there.